Welcome everyone, I'm glad you can join me. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So my previous video that I made a video on the liver recovery, talking about the liver, the element, the paired organ that it has, and how to get it back in line, how to maintain it, and how to keep your liver healthy. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the spleen and pancreas recovery. In traditional Chinese medicine, this is covered by the earth element. So in this video, I'm going to go over its functions, the different emotions and different faculties that are associated with the earth element. And whenever I say the earth element, I'm going to be talking about the spleen, the pancreas, and the stomach in an umbrella term as earth energy. So that's how it is acknowledged in traditional Chinese medicine and some other traditional medicine systems. So today we're going to be talking about just the functions of it, how to keep it in line, how to get it back in line if it's out of balance, different signs and symptoms of if it is in balance, and how to correct those. So let's get started. So the earth element controls our digestion, absorption, and distribution of food and nutrients into usable energy in the body, also known as ki, life force energy. So the earth element consists of three organs: the spleen, the pancreas, and the stomach. A lot of folks consider the gut, like the GI tract, the large intestine and the small intestine, as the earth element, but according to this system, not so much. You can if you want to, based on your own, but in this system, the large intestine and small intestine are associated with the metal and the fire elements. So going over the earth element, starting with the spleen, it's considered to be two organs in one. It filters out bacteria, pathogens, and bad blood cells. It produces white blood cells, also known as lymphocytes, and other disease-fighting components that regulate the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets in the bloodstream. So the reason it's considered two organs in one is because it's also considered like a liver extension, because the liver and the pancreas share similar functions. You can think about it this way in a nutshell, as the liver warms the blood, stores the blood, and purifies the blood, versus the spleen that is like quality control for the blood to keep it pure as it's going throughout the system. So once again, the spleen filters out bacteria, pathogens, and bad red blood cells. So it keeps the state of the blood pure. So it is a purifier, but it's not the place where the blood is, the most of the blood is stored and purified. It's mainly like a checkpoint to make sure that the blood stays pure throughout the system. So the next organ is the pancreas. The pancreas produces enzymes for digestion and has two functions: exocrine and endocrine functions. So it's these functions are for harmony of the body, and it's like a very, very hard-working organ. It's the main organ in digestion, to be honest. Like if you didn't have a pancreas, you wouldn't be able to digest food, pretty much. So it regulates digestion and blood sugar control. So whenever the pancreas is out of balance, you'll see diseases like diabetes, pancreas, hypoglycemia, and other ones that occur if this organ is not functioning correctly. This is because the functions, the exocrine function and the endocrine function, are in charge of enzymes and hormones that help the body function in harmony. So the exocrine function is in charge of digestion and the enzymes that digest foods like lipase, protease, and amylase. Protease is in charge of protein. Protease, protein. Lipase is in charge of digesting fats, so like lipid, lipase. And amylase is in charge of, it digests starches, complex carbs, and carbs. So a key thing is though that amylase is produced in your saliva, but it's not produced in your gastric acids. So it's only in your saliva and it's only in your small intestine. So usually when people are eating food and their food is digesting in their stomach, being broken down into chyme, there's no amylase. So it only is present in your saliva. So when you're chewing, it's breaking down, but the next place it breaks down is in the small intestine, and the small intestine only. So your mouth and your small intestine is the only place that amylase is really present, and that's the only place that carbs, starches, and complex carbs are digested. So the next organ is the stomach, and it holds food until it's broken down into a digestible form, into chyme. So when it comes into physical well-being overall, we need to make sure that everything in our body, everything that makes us function as a human being, is taken care of and maintained. So in Western medicine, it's not really stressed. I'm not saying that they don't cover it, but it's not really focused on as much as it should be, or as it is in other systems of medicine. And that is the emotional body. your emotional state, even if you're eating foods, even if you're taking care of yourself and you're working out and you're just fit, you're on the ball, you're on it. You can still develop physical symptoms and physical ailments due to your emotional state, your mind state, your stress levels. Your just well-being mentally can affect your body physically. So with the spleen, the pancreas, and the earth element, the main emotion associated with it is pensiveness. And what pensiveness is, just pondering. It's like thinking really deeply about something. So, or worry or sympathy. So when you're thinking really deeply, like when people are worrying, they're all in their head. When people have sympathy, they're in their heart space, but they're also in their head too. And they're just really like, it's like it draws energy from your vibrant self. So when you're worrying and you're having sympathy for some things or whatever like that, it can really take away from the energy of your body, like the well-being and how well you just hold yourself together. It'll take your mind off of your whole entire well-being. So when the spleen, pancreas, and the stomach are imbalanced, people may experience prolonged states of wandering, pondering about things that they normally wouldn't, thinking about problems of your uncomfortable health conditions excessively. This can also weaken digestion, because it binds the digestive energy. It's just like how when you're worrying and you have anxiety, how it makes it hard to accept situations in life, or it makes it hard to plan forward. You have to make sure that in general, this is just a sign that maybe your spleen and your earth element is out of balance. We'll discuss later why it manifests in this way. But to know that when you're thinking about things, when you're worrying about things too much, or you're having too much sympathy about things, you're just, you're pondering in your head, you're feeling stuck in your head. It's an indication, through a physical manifestation, that your earth element is not in line. It's out of balance. So the sense organ, the organs that manifested the earth element, are your mouth and your lips. So each organ in your body has a manifestation out into your physical appearance, and your mouth and your lips are a key symbol of your earth element. So usually, if people are healthy, like they'll have, if as far as males, they'll have healthy hair, facial hair around their mouth. Their lips will be vibrant. But people that are out of balance or have problems with their earth element, you'll notice like they'll have like a yellowish tint around their mouth. They might have dry, chapped lips, or they'll probably have acne around the mouth area. And this goes into the actual color that's associated with the earth element, which is yellow, which is a key reason why, if there is an imbalance in the mouth and the lips, it'll seem like it's yellowing around that area. So just like how the mouth and the lips are an indication of the health of the earth element, there's other indications that could show as well. So if the earth element is imbalanced, you'll notice that this person or yourself, you'll tend to be able to get more work done. These type of people are hardworking, they're practical, they're responsible. They tend to be able to nurture themselves well and also nurture those around them. Pay attention to the well-being of those around them and actually have the energy to be able to consider that, to have that compassion. They also have, you notice that they have endurance and they have strong bodies, especially their limbs. Like they tend to be limber, they tend to be able. They also mentally tend to be more creative. Their creative energy isn't blocked. They're able to indulge in their imagination and their creative abilities and create a whole lot smoother. If a person's earth element is imbalanced, you'll start to notice that these type of people, if not yourself, if you can analyze your own well-being, tend to be chronically tired. They have to take breaks a lot, or they seem like they're always tired. They have mental and physical stagnation. Like your mind, just like how I said a minute ago, how you'll tend to be thinking about things, or you'll be pensive, you'll be pondering, mainly because you're in your mind and you're stuck, you're slowed down. Your physical body, you might not, these people won't be bending over, they won't be full of energy, they won't have as much endurance, they'll probably need to sit down a lot and just like take their time, and they'll be slowed down. These people also tend to act compulsively, like their movements might be jerkish, like they'll jerk. They also, just as far as their decisions, they may buy things, they might just buy things and start hoarding things compulsively as a emotional and mental manifestation of what they're going through. These people tend to experience weak digestion, nausea, poor appetite, bloating, smelly flatulence, loose stools, and dulled senses. Some of these people tend to gain weight and start to, get overweight without even eating much. And then also there's, on the other side, thin people, like kind of slim people like myself, tend to eat a lot. They tend to increase their diet, but still for some reason can't put on weight. Their body won't hold the weight. And also another indication that the earth element is out of balance is that you'll start to experience problems in the liver. These are all indications of if your body is in balance, if you have a generally healthy spleen or earth element, pancreas, or if it's out of balance. If you look at these that I just listed, you can pretty much tell or get an idea whether your earth element needs help or if you're pretty healthy. So the main condition of the spleen, pancreas, stomach, earth element is dampness. Okay, so this condition this is the main condition that throws the earth element out of whack. So it stalls the earth element due to the excess moisture and accumulation of waste in the organs. Like mud in pipes, it blocks and slows down the absorption and elimination in the elimination process. This causes toxin buildup, and also is common in people with poor circulation and digestion. So when you think about dampness, you need to think about mud, okay, just like clay. If it's in pipes, it's going to clog up the pipe work. If you have fluids, the fluids are not going to flow right. If you have food, the food is just going to keep packing on, and it's going to cause your body to feel weighed down. It's going to cause you to not be able to move around like you want to. It's going to, whenever you've been constipated or you have a lot of bloating, you notice that you're not able to think as much. You're not able to, your mind processes are stalled as a result of your bowels being stalled, because your bowels are connected to your brain as well. They say that your gut brain is one of your brains. It's your gut brain, and then you got your actual brain, and they do work together. So when you have dampness and you have buildup and toxins building up inside of your system, it's going to show and it's going to manifest in your mental processes as well. So some of the symptoms of dampness in your system are feeling like your bowels are full and stuck, chronic tiredness, mental and physical dullness, compulsive behavior, living in disorder, hoarding, buying useless possessions. These are mental and emotional manifestations of a physical imbalance. There can be other issues as well too, but we're going to stick to the basics. Edema, which is fluid building up in your tissues, which can cause swelling, which can cause tumors. Swollen and weak tissues, low vitality, digestive problems, and hemorrhoids. The reason hemorrhoids is actually an issue is because the earth element is in charge of keeping your body's constitution held. So the earth element is in charge of keeping everything in place and holding things up in place. It's in charge of the energy flowing up in your body and flowing out of your body, which is also why it's nourished by the sweet taste of foods. And we're going to go over that later in the video, but sweet tasting foods are not candy, not cakes, but the natural sweetness of potatoes, the natural sweetness of different starches and vegetables, which some people won't consider sweet. But if you were to, consider all of God's foods that He made, they will be more on the sweeter side. Okay, and you also might have dirty white coating on your tongue. That's that film, like you say when you wake up and you just had food last night and you have that white film on your tongue that sometimes when you brush your teeth it won't come off. Yellowing around the mouth and tissues. Pain in the upper abdomen in this area, because this is where your pancreas is, your spleen on your left side, your liver on your right side, right here in the middle solar plexus of the body. You'll start to have pain in this area and food sensitivities because the toxins are building up and they're not moving, so therefore it's causing swelling and irritation in this area, which can lead to different types of inflammation, which makes the dampness condition also turn into damp heat. But that's another topic. So weak digestion, nausea, and feeling like fluids are sitting in your stomach while drinking, which means that when you drink food, it's like, you drink foods and it goes to your system fairly quickly. When you drink fluids with a severe damp condition, it'll feel like your fluids are just sitting here. You say you take a couple walks or you lay down and you hear the boop, boop, boop in your stomach and it's not going anywhere. You're probably dealing with a situation of dampness. Now, if you hear that, that doesn't mean that that's the case, but that is a symptom of if this is going on, if you're dealing with dampness. So also external factors, which are environmental factors, which is damp weather, cold weather. So if you think about it, cold slows things down, cold binds things, cold causes things to firm up. And damp weather is also just full of moisture. So if you're already dealing with a damp condition and you're really susceptible to your environment, a damp condition, like say if you live in an apartment and the air is fairly humid and damp, it'll make you more susceptible to a damp condition because you're in that environment. Our environment heavily influences what's going on inside of us, but the thing is we can take care of our inner environment to be able to withstand the outer environment. So some of the causes of dampness are poor diet, weak organs, eating too late, not exercising, and your environment like we just went over. These are the main culprits of causing this disease, this condition. And the thing about dampness is it's really the word I'm trying to find out is it facilitates degenerative disease. And what I mean by degenerative disease is cancer, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, parasites, parasitic invasion. Because if you think about if you've been gardening or you're a gardener or if you've been out in the soil and the elements, if you go into your soil reserves or if you dig up in the ground, you notice that if the ground is really moist, you'll have worms in there. And worms just, worms like that compacted, structured, moist soil to burrow through. Same in the dampness condition, because that's the condition that it creates in your bowels. Your bowels are supposed to be empty and be able to move smoothly, move things out through peristalsis. If you are dealing with mud in your system and sticky mucus gunk in your system, that food is not going to be able to be moved out. It's going to stick to your intestinal walls, and it invites that just like how worms in the soil, it invites parasitic and bacteria invasions in your system because they like that muddy, damp, structured, full type of environment to be able to move through. So dampness is the main cause of parasitic invasions, or this condition facilitates parasitic invasions. It invites it in. It invites in all these degenerative diseases like cancer and arthritis and inflammation. This condition covers a whole plethora of different types of symptoms and things that people would be dealing with, but they won't know why. In the core, the root issue is the dampness in their system. And the reason that they're dealing with that is because they're not respecting the earth element. They're not respecting their feminine energy. They're not respecting, in traditional Chinese medicine, the yin energy of their body, which is the nutrition, the inner environment. Also, it takes time to cure this type of condition. And what I mean by cure is like to get your body and system back in line, because if you have buildup in your body, you have to give it the time, and not to mention if you just have buildup, but if it's been buildup for a long time and now your organs have been damaged because of the buildup and all the infection and just the irritation that it causes inside of your system, if it's been that way for a long time, not only do you have to get your system moving, which takes time, you also have to heal the damage that has been done to the organs. So dampness is one of the longest conditions that takes to cure, that get back in line. The way you would do that is to get the bowels cleaned out, to heal any type of damage done to the organs, any type of inflammation or any type of infection that is now in the system, and then to keep the organs or the earth element functioning in a way of harmony. That's the way you would recover from this situation. So the best way to do it is really, you got to exercise, okay? Not only do you have to eat the right foods, which we'll go over later, you have to be able to, you got to understand that coldness is what also causes dampness. So when you're eating food at night, you eat late, you're not supposed to eat too late, so your liver and your gallbladder can actually heal themselves at night, and your gut can clean itself out, and your body can go into healing instead of putting all its energy into digestion. You're not supposed to eat too late. You got to let your body rest. But when you eat cold foods, the cold environment also invites dampness, because cold constricts, cold astringates, cold causes stiffness, cold firms things up. So whenever you're eating cold foods, whenever you eat, especially ice cream. Ice cream is one of the worst foods to eat if you're dealing with this condition, because not only is it dairy, and then, you know, the body, like, especially based on your blood type and whatever region you're from, your genetics, dairy affects you worse. Some people, it doesn't affect them like the other folks. But dairy is causes it invites mucus. It creates a whole lot of mucus in the system, and so also on top of that, being cold, it just creates the perfect environment for dampness to accumulate. So stay away from dairy, stay away from cold foods, stay away from a sedentary lifestyle, a damp environment, poor food combinations, and just overly processed foods, highly processed foods. These cakes, these little Debbie cakes, pancakes, waffles, donuts, you know, just candy bars and stuff like that. That sugar, all that sugar is going to fuel any type of parasites that you have, because parasites and bacteria love sugar like that. And then highly processed foods are foods that have already went through a type of digestive process. So when foods are, you know, the packaged foods and boxed foods at the store and stuff like that have already been processed, the fiber and the nutrients have already been extracted out of it to make it preservable and last long. So when you eat these highly processed foods, it causes damage on the system, because first off, your system's not getting any nutrients from digesting it, and it has no fiber. So when it breaks down into mud. It breaks down into diarrhea. It breaks down into sludge, sewage. So you want to stay away from the highly processed foods, because it'll cause dampness faster than anything. Another thing is, when you're dealing with this condition and you're eating these type of foods, when it's backed up too much and it's been backed up for too long, it can start affecting what in TCM they consider the fire of the digestive system, the fire, and that's your stomach power, your gastric juices to help digest the food. When you're dealing with this and it's backed up and your pancreas is not producing the chemicals and the enzymes that is needed for proper digestion, it causes your stomach to weaken, and therefore your stomach won't be digesting or breaking down the food the way it needs to. So you will have undigested food, partially digested food entering into the gastrointestinal tract. That is just going to cause even more damage, because food needs to be broken down well before it gets into the digestive system. That's why they say chew your food, because your food should be true kind by the time it enters into your intestines. And what that means is, like, when you chew your food, it should be a nice pasty pulp before you swallow it. You shouldn't be swallowing full pieces of food, or like half chewed. Some of it's chewed and then some of it's still solid. It's not supposed to be like that. That damages your system. That's not the way it's supposed to digest. Even though it can digest, you want to take care of your system so it functions properly. And another thing that causes dampness that a lot of people wouldn't consider, and a lot of these raw food fanatics probably would frown upon, is eating too many raw foods. Now, raw foods are good for people with a fairly strong digestive system. People that have a weak digestive system, or one that needs recovery, need to go more towards cooked foods. Foods that are warm, that have been broken down a little bit already, you know? So when it gets into the system doesn't have to work extra hard to warm it up, and it also doesn't have to work too hard to break it down. Because raw foods, when you're eating too many of them, the enzymes inside of raw foods, you know, they first off, they have certain foods have enzymes, and they have their own. There's a word I'm looking for. Enzymes. The word I was looking for was enzyme. They have their own digestive enzymes inside of them, but their structure, aka like the cellulose and stuff that makes the firmness of the plant, can actually be harmful onto the digestive system. So when people are eating too many raw foods, because you're supposed to have a balanced, well spectralized diet, too many raw foods can cause dampness as well, because it causes buildup and it causes stagnation in the system. So one of the signs of excess raw foods is actually weakness, coldness, and watery stools. So, you know, that's why vegetarians and these raw food extremists, sometimes they can go so hard with this raw food, but sometimes they're still dealing with ailments, and they're wondering why. They're like, I'm completely vegan, I eat nothing but vegetables and I eat nothing but plants. Why am I dealing with things? Because you need to, first off, a well-balanced diet, and if you eat too many raw foods, that's an extreme into the raw section, and so therefore too much of anything is not good for you. So raw foods, eating too many raw foods could also cause this condition. And if you're dealing with anything like this and you are a vegetarian or you are vegan, this could be the cause. So you must pay attention to that. Now, getting into the foods that you need to eat if you want to get your body back in balance, or your earth element back in balance. Sweet foods. The sweet taste of foods, or the sweet food category, nourishes the spleen. It nourishes the inner lining of the body. It builds the tissue and fluids of the earth element. It strengthens and tonifies those organs. It helps the energy expand upward and outward in the body. So these foods, the earth element naturally itself is in charge of holding up the organs energetically, giving them the energy to be able to maintain their structure, and also having the key energy to flow out, your body energy to be able to flow out to the limbs and the rest of the body for good circulation, for good posture, for a good structure of energy to hold the organs in place. Which is why I was saying a minute ago about hemorrhoids, why hemorrhoids is actually an issue with the earth element, the spleen, the pancreas, and the stomach. A lot of people, when they're dealing with this condition, they try to focus on the large intestine and the small intestine, when it's actually a previous organ issue, because earth element is in charge of the digestion of the nutrients and the foods that you eat, but also its energetic aspect is to hold the organs in place. It's to hold the structure of things. So whenever the earth element is out of balance, you deal with prolapse. You can deal with uterine prolapse and hemorrhoids. If you're in a serious stage, you can deal with prolapse as well, and that's because your body's constituent energy structure has fallen. So you have to be able, what you have to do, this is why exercise is also key to bring this element back into place, and also the right foods, the right combinations, and the right times to eat. And you also have to know when to rest as well. When you do that, the right foods, what they do is strengthen and tonify. Tonify is what it does is it causes the structure of the tissue and muscles to firm up and tighten up, get strong again. What that's going to do is cause your body's energy to raise back up. It's going to cause your energy to be able to disperse out into the body the way it's supposed to, and it's going to be able to it's going to cause your structure and the word I'm looking for is frame. Your inner frame, your inner structure to stay right. It's gonna allow your organs to be held in place. It's gonna keep your frame and your structure strong and upright and supported like it's supposed to. So the sweet foods that you could focus on are complex carbs like potatoes, squash, especially yellow squash. Once again, going into the color of the spleen and pancreas and stomach, the earth element is yellow. So you should focus on yellow foods. This goes into phytonutrients, and the different colors of foods help different parts of the body. And some people believe in the chakras and the energy centers of the body, and some people, they believe what they believe. But I believe the Most High have made it that way. There's the visible light spectrum that we live in, and then there's the rainbow that happens when the light is dispersed throughout and after rains. But these energy centers and also these organs that are in our body and function a certain way are associated with certain colors based off of generations in scientific endeavors and explorations into the science of the body that are associated with different colors. And the yellow color is associated with the earth element, and the earth element is right here in the middle in the body, which is also the solar plexus, soul, which goes into the color yellow. And it's no coincidence that certain yellow foods help your earth element heal itself. So yellow squash is great. Winter squash is good. Carrots, rutabagas, parsnips, turnips, pumpkins, peas, and sweet potatoes. Very some underground vegetables, but very carb-rich vegetables. Okay, complex carbs and starches. Vegetables: collards, cabbage, asparagus, celery, chard, button mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, kudzu, and beets. These are really good veggies to eat that will nourish your body as well. And these are all considered sweet foods. You know, you'll eat beets or you'll eat collards and cabbage, you'll be like, that's not sweet. But if you look at the spectrum of foods that we have to eat without seasoning, without all the extra sweeteners and stuff that we have nowadays in the modern time, these would have a sweetness to them. Whether it be, it's not bleached white sugar sweet, but it's natural sugar sweet. And these natural sweets are what strengthen and tonify and nourish the body. Allow the body to break down and hold on and store the nutrients that the inside of the body needs. So legumes or beans are like black beans, garbanzo beans, azuki beans, lentils, tamarind, and alfalfa. Grains that are good to eat are quinoa, spelt, millet, oats, and well-cooked rice. These all nourish the spleen very well. Some people say that millet, they'll say maybe not, but when I was trying to get my system back in line and I was eating millet and making different recipes with that, I felt great. And you know, these aren't really sweet foods, but proteins that you can eat that will nourish you as well. They always should be cooked and eaten with super kongi, so it shouldn't be, you know, you shouldn't just be eating macros all the time, because, you know, meat and proteins take the it takes the longest to digest. The digestive system spends sometimes a whole day to digest macros, depending on your age and your health. But for the most part, it takes over 8 hours for some of these proteins to digest. So it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, which means that it slows down transit time for it to go through your stomach and go through your digestive tract, which means that if you eat it with the wrong foods, like if you eat proteins or macros with grains or carbs, which have a lower, faster digestive time, it's going to throw your system off balance. So usually you want to eat macro proteins with either vegetables or among themselves. So good proteins to eat are either mackerel, tuna, halibut, anchovies, chicken, turkey, or lamb. And so these are some good foods that you can start eating that will nourish your earth element. There's many others that you can eat, and it's not just limited to these, but these are a good starter right here. Now, when eating sweet foods, you would want to pair them with pungent spices and other pungent foods, because the nature of pungent foods is they're expansive and dispersive. They stimulate circulation, they help digestion and disperse mucus buildup, and they have a knack for killing parasites. So, not only do you just want to eat sweet or pungent foods, you want to make sure you eat warm foods, because once again, like we discussed earlier, cold foods, and this could also include just regular foods by themselves like fruits, cucumbers, and different foods that are cooling in nature that can actually cause dampness. You want to go towards warming foods. So warming spices that would be really good to make with the foods that were listed before would be rosemary, cloves, especially garlic, spearmint, scallions, onions, really great. Fresh ginger. You can use ginger powder, you can use, you know, different ginger substitutes, but fresh ginger, because fresh ginger has that fire. If you ever ate ginger by itself, it's really spicy, right? So cayenne pepper as well, that's really hot. It's expansive and dispersive. I'm actually make a video on the energetics of these herbs in water, so you can actually see a manifestation of what they do on a microscopic level. Wait for that. Black pepper, hot red and green peppers, cinnamon, basil, dill, anise, and horseradish. These are all very warming spices. They're very pungent spices, and they will help break up and disperse that gunky, built up, muddy type of texture and waste in your system. Now, paired with the sweet foods, and pairing sweet foods with the pungent foods, you have the nourishment, you have the tonification, also with the breaking and dispersing and moving out of the gunky, built up, damp environment. You would also want to use foods or eat foods that cause dryness, because a damp condition is actually it's accumulation of moisture inside of the body in a way that is detrimental to the body. So because your body needs moisture, but when it's moisture in your waist, it causes that slow, stagnant movement in the body. So foods that actually dry up dampness that you can eat are like rye, amaranth, Celery is really good for it. And the ones that I've listed right there, those warming spices, all of those have a knack for drying up the damp condition, which is really great. Going into herbs that you would like to use, you want to use stimulants, diuretics, alteratives, which are basically blood cleaners, adaptogens, and nutritives. The reason you wouldn't want to use these, and I don't know if I said it ago, but diuretics. Definitely diuretics, because diuretics cause your extracts moisture in your body to be urinated out. And when you're dealing with damp conditions, which is moisture in environments that it shouldn't be, those diuretics will definitely move out those extra fluids. And now when you have pungent herbs with them, which are the hot and the dispersive, now you have drainage of the excess moisture, and you have the warming dispersive effects breaking down that gunk and stuff in your body and enabling it to move out better. This is how you pair foods and herbs for effects that are beneficial. You don't just throw any type of herb together expecting it to heal you. There's herbs and they have energetics. There's foods with energetics, and you have to pair these correctly to get your body back in line. So, getting into the herbs that will help kickstart the healing process to actually balance out this condition. As earlier in the video I had said, the adaptogens, the nutritives, the alteratives, the stimulants, and the diuretics are the categories of herbs that you will want to go to help heal this condition. So I have my notes here so I don't miss a beat and I don't miss any information that will be valuable for you to know. So as far as adaptogens, basil helps stimulate cell proliferation and healing in the spleen. It contains eugenol, linalool, and citronellol, making it powerful and anti-inflammatory. It's a vasodilator, making it good for blood pressure and managing insulin spikes after meals. Astragalus as an adaptogen. It stimulates the spleen, replenishes its energy and vitality, helping reverse performance fatigue, increase a healthy appetite, and restore integrity to collapsed energy. This makes it great for the spleen, which is in charge of maintaining energy structure, the middle burner, the middle key, as we discussed earlier. And reishi mushroom as an adaptogen. It boosts immune performance, it reduces symptoms of high cortisol, it manages stress, which is great for the spleen imbalance, a spleen tonifier, and helps restore it back to its natural strength. It brings peace and strength to the spirit, helping reduce the emotional antagonizers of the spleen. These adaptogens help bring the energy source and bring the vitality back to the earth element for it to actually carry out its processes the way it's supposed to. Getting into the nutritives, so nettles or stinging nettles helps dry up dampness with its diuretic properties and nourishes the energy of the body. It reduces mucus in the intestines and is nutrient dense, thus helping the liver and the gallbladder, spleen, pancreas work in harmony and also have the nutrients that it needs to function. It acts as a spleen tonic and helps combat the weakness and fatigue resulting from its deficiency. Alfalfa as a nutritive. It's great for clearing damp heat, as I discussed earlier, as far as the dampness building up and the inflammation from the irritation of the dampness in the system. That's what damp heat is. It helps reduce the damp heat in the system and in the stomach and in the spleen. It's a mild diuretic, so therefore it helps drain out some of the fluid and moisture that's caused by dampness. It's also a bitter, thus having a strong cleansing and clearing effect on damp conditions. Bitter herbs help purge out foods. Digestive foods, but toxins as well. It helps purge and helps that getting out and eliminating process of waste in the body. Now, licorice root as a nutritive. It strengthens digestion, it soothes and reduces inflammation in the GI tract. It also clears heat and detoxifies the system. It's an abdominal pain reliever and boosts the nourishment of the spleen. Once again, its sweet nature. And helps regulate the energy better. So that covers the nutritives. As far as alteratives, and as you can see, some of these are in two categories. Dandelion leaf is also a diuretic. Astragalus is it's an adaptogen, but also it's a stimulant. So adaptogens, they help the body adapt to stress and adapt to the healing process. Stimulants help kickstart the organs and give the organs energy. So they're kind of the same, but they have properties that the others don't. Getting into the stimulants, ginseng helps Sorry, we were at alteratives. So alteratives, as far as dandelion leaf, it's a nutritive and it's a bitter. It helps diuretic properties of the damp conditions flow. So it's a diuretic. It helps get rid of the moisture and excess moisture and dampness. It's a bitter, so therefore it helps purge out gunk and waste inside of the system. But also it's a nutritive. It's a nutritive as well. Dandelion leaf and root. The dandelion itself is an amazing herb. It's like a powerhouse herb, one of them powerhouse herbs. So is stinging nettle. It's a blood purifier. It helps the liver. It gets into the liver and helps the liver purify the blood. It's also great for clearing obstructions of all sorts in the spleen, liver, and gallbladder, pancreas. It helps de-inflame in a large spleen and helps detoxify the system. Dandelion leaf is a great herb. I always try to pick them during the spring season. As far as alternatives, poria. Poria is a diuretic and it drains the dampness and reduces the fluid retention. This tonifies the chi. This tonifies the life force energy. It helps the spleen and the earth element carry out its process of holding the organs in place and holding them up, keeping the structure right. It also strengthens the spleen and the heart together, balancing their deficiencies. And as a result of it helping the spleen and the heart, it helps memory loss and reduce memory loss. So that's also a plus with poria. I have yet to work with poria, but I will be using it in the future. And then also Cotinopsis as an alternative. So it's great for increasing spleen vitality, reducing fatigue and deficiency. It can help relieve the shortness of breath that comes with spleen discomfort. So people that deal with liver problems, gallbladder problems, earth element problems, pancreas, stomach, spleen, tend to have shortness of breath because when they're dealing with these backed up conditions or they're dealing with stagnancy and just inflammation, it causes pain in this area right here. And also it has the weight of all the waste inside of those organs when they're not functioning properly, or just the inflamed conditions. It causes expanding feeling. It causes a heaviness feeling because all the waste that's inside of there. And what it causes also is a lack of breath. So when you're trying to breathe, it's like, or whenever you breathe deep, you might start feeling those aches and pains in this area. So it causes you not to be able to breathe right, and that'll cause so many more other conditions. There's environments and different types of manifestations of imbalance in the body that cause a lot of diseases. In Western medicine, Western medicine does help with these conditions, but for the most part, they give medications to numb the symptoms of these conditions. So if you don't understand or get the knowledge that you need to understand why you're dealing with these things, you will never heal them. And the longer that you numb them and you don't heal them, the worse the conditions get. This information is vital for your well-being all the way into till you're gone, but well into your old age, because you want to correct these things and get this knowledge and learn how to actually heal yourself and actually how your body works and what it needs in your young years. Even if you're not young, you need to start where you're at, because it takes years and years and years for our bodies to break down. For years and years and years. Think about how long, like, some of us have been eating. Some people, 40 plus years, they've been eating the American diet. And yes, they're dealing with these conditions, but when you start eating right and treating your body right, it takes a fraction of the time to get back. Now, some people, they have organs removed, they have surgeries and stuff like that, and let's just keep it real. Those are irreversible. If you get your organ taken out, or you get an operation that cuts off something or stops something, like sometimes these procedures that the Western medicine, these just diabolical, barbaric, and then first choice procedures that they choose to take on people changes and alters your life forever. So you really want to get the knowledge of how and what your body needs, the way the Most High has given it to us. So therefore you can gradually get your body back in line and keep your body right, versus going to man and damaging your body or letting them damage your body for the rest of your existence on this planet. And that's just, it's something that nobody wants, something that I would never wish on anybody. It's just, especially when, it's really because we haven't been educated properly. So, getting into stimulants, ginseng, Ginseng helps the earth element kickstart. It gives it the energy to function properly and actually maintain the endurance that it needs. So diuretics, once again, they're what help you excrete excess fluids. Red clover is great for the lymphatic system. It helps the lymphatic system clean out toxins in the body. It also helps the urinary system excrete those toxins that are now extracted from the body via the lymphatic system out of the body. And red clover helps that process, so it's really good for keeping the body clear. It's also great for females because it helps with balancing the estrogen levels as well. And then coriander is very aromatic, so naturally aromatic. You know, you've heard of aromatherapy. Aromatic herbs have properties that help, you know, clear out different things. Like some aromatics help clean out the lungs. They help the lungs expand. But in this situation, the aromatic properties of coriander helps the weak spleen get stimulated back into strength. It gets stimulated back into function. It's not a stimulant, but its properties help stimulate that function. Coriander is also a diuretic, so therefore it's really good for helping the body draw out excess sodium and clean out excess sodium. It's also good for blood pressure. So with these herbs, in these categories, looking at these categories, if you were to go online and study these categories, you'll find more about them. But with these herbs in particular, if you're dealing with an earth element imbalance, aka problems with your stomach, your spleen, and your pancreas, and if you are still wondering how to tell, go back in the video and look at how when I explained about the balanced earth element and imbalanced earth element to really kind of gauge if you might be dealing with an imbalanced earth element. With these herbs, and then also the foods that I had also as well let you know that would be good to eat or what you want to focus on, you'll be able to get your earth element back in balance. Not only that, you have to practice fasting and exercise and then proper food combinations. Because still, even if you're eating the right foods, if you're not combining them properly, if you're not giving your body the time it needs to digest it and move it before you put something else in there and then extend the digestive time for the foods that you just ate, and therefore causing bacteria fermentation because they've been digesting too long. If you're not practicing food combinations, fasting, and exercise, you still might be dealing with these situations because you're not giving your body the rest and the time that it needs to process things. So, practicing these strategies and putting these herbs and foods into use, while also practicing fasting, practicing exercising, and proper food combinations, you'll definitely see improvements in your earth element. If you go to the doctor and get diagnosed, or you get a checkup and they tell you what's going on and it happens to be a problem with your spleen, pancreas, or stomach, if you try this for about a month before you take any medications and go back and get checked up again, I promise you, the doctor will tell you, wow, we're seeing improvements. You're doing much better. Not only that, you'll be feeling better. So, this concludes the video. I know it's kind of choppy. I try to get the information to you guys in a clear way. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put them in the comments. If you have any questions for me, my email is down in the comments. If you have any tips or anything that I missed that you feel should be said, you can put them down in the comments. So, with that being said, this is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps you. There will be more content coming soon. With that being said, you all have a good day. Take care of yourselves.